Breaking news, there's a brush fire burning in the Pacific Palisades area.
You see that live shot right there, the large plume of smoke. Right now, it's at least 20 acres, but we believe possibly, according to Sam DiGiovanna, our expert here, he believes that's 20 plus acres.
The winds are incredible, and I can't believe they're going to get worse.
Well, I wonder how far it's going to go.
Extreme fire danger.
And we're looking at 10,000 homes, Micah.
Just hellish scenes that we're seeing. These are some intense flames and the winds that are just unfortunately going to get worse as we go through the night.
Look at your cute kids. So many ripe lemons.
We have never-ending lemons.
Oh my god. Hi, Angel. I can't believe you did it.
I know.
How are your holidays?
Mama, Rossie's still
So
sunbathing.
nice. We did nothing. Chill.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, I'm so glad you remembered the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a screenshot of your book because you look super cute,
Oh.
and it's for our BTS.
Yay.
So, 1, 2, 3.
This is the next show I'm bringing to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to share this. So that's Bette Bentley. I am so excited for you guys to meet her. You are going to absolutely fall in love with her. She is just like pure magic. She is so kind and so loving and so warm and freaking funny as hell. She was actually a comedy writer at Funny or Die. She was an improv actor. Now she's a successful entrepreneur. She has this really cool company called Skimpies. But I met her because she's a mom at my kid's school. It was like at a birthday party, and I saw her across the room and I'm like, who's that? Like, I had never met her before. We started talking and I literally was like glued to her hip the rest of the night, like moth to a flame. She was just so charismatic and so interesting. She had me in stitches the whole night. And this show, this sort of idea of like a lifestyle talk show has been a dream forever. And as soon as I met her, I just all of a sudden was like, what if she was my co-host? And by the way, this is before I had any idea that she had any experience in like entertainment at all. I had no idea she was a comedy writer. I had no idea that she had written her own show, which she successfully sold to Netflix, NBD. Like I didn't know any of that. I just thought when I met her, this is the most charismatic, charming, likable person ever. And now we are going on this journey together. The plan was for this to be a pitch meeting where we were going to pitch content ideas for the episodes we were planning on filming that weekend. So it was gonna be Monday pitch meeting, Thursday rehearsal, Saturday shoot. Well, obviously none of that ended up happening because overnight everything changed. But I am gonna share a little bit of this creative meeting so that you can get to know Bette and you can kind of hear the tone of what we're trying to create. And maybe it'll inspire you. If there's a project you've been wanting to work on, you can see that sometimes it's as simple as just getting really interesting, creative, wonderful people in your world and pulling them together and just deciding to do something. You know, like right now I just feel we've got our like general idea and like really no plan. So I'm feeling like I was feeling anxious about like having a rehearsal on the 9th. I'm like, what are we rehearsing? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, I feel very ill prepared.
I want you to both not feel stressed for Thursday because we're gonna hang out. We'll take as long as we need, pending your schedules. I'm available all day. Some of the things we pitched today, we'll try them out on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then really finalize it end of Thursday and all of Friday. And then Saturday is our pilot. We originally said 3.
Logistically, we can do that as long as we know what we're doing. And so I think that's where I'm currently feeling the nervousness about, is that the rehearsal we have has to be so many things. It's how do we pace it and how do we, and like just us getting comfortable, but it's also the tech piece of it is big.
Yeah. Maybe after we talk about structure, we have a convo about tech. Because maybe this shouldn't be on Orly's plate. Let's get things off the plate. So it's
Clear
empty.
the plate. Put it in the
so you can go to
dishwasher.
buffet.
Put it in the fucking dishwasher.
Yeah.
The segments that I have so far are, can we bring back, off the grid, gag, do, follow, I have the receipts while I was scrolling. That's the 6 that I have. Am I missing anything? Aside from obviously like the interviews and all that stuff.
That's accurate, yes.
Okay, great.
I think we touched on something when we were all texting. I said like about a book we might write one day, a guide to having a ball instead of having it all. Yeah. And I felt like we all realized like we hit tonally something that's been in our hearts, which is joy, brightness, light, fun, freedom. We're at a stage of our lives, all of us, we've worked really hard. We've made a lot of serious accomplishments, and now we're wanting to do things we want to do. We're the best we've ever been. We're happy, and we want to put that into the show.
More than 1,000 structures
in the Eaton fire alone have been damaged or lost. Some 70,000 people impacted by either an evacuation order or an evacuation warning.
So we are not in the path of the fire. Where we are in the valley is not close enough to the Palisades fire nor the Eaton fire to be in a direct line of danger. We were just impacted by the winds. There were insane winds. Like, how did this LaCroix survive? I don't understand. There are major, major winds, which is obviously what made the fires so vicious and dangerous and how they spread so quickly. We've got these 3 pine trees in our neighbor's yard, and anytime there is a big windstorm, our backyard just takes the brunt of it. Big branches come down, rock solid pine cones from like 80 feet above come crashing on our roof and scare the crap out of us in the middle of the night. And obviously like thousands and thousands of pine needles that just blanket our entire backyard. So whatever, I was just doing as much as I could to clean it up after the windstorm, doing as much as I could on my own. And then there was a huge branch, like literally sounded like part of the tree came crashing down. My thought was we needed a tree trimmer, like a professional. My husband had other ideas.
Are you sure you don't want you on one side, me on the other? That's not, because I'm afraid it's gonna catch on the gutter. Oh my Lord.
Ah! Oh no.
Oh.
Do you know the amount of self-control it took for me to not say, I told you so. That's what I thought would happen. But of course I couldn't, because you could hear it. You could hear the knowing, like, in his voice when it started falling off, and he's like, oh God. And I felt so bad that of course I could never. I mean, that thing was heavy as all hell, so. But it did kind of crack the gutter. We also have a crack on our roof on the outside that ended up exposing a few cracks on the inside of our bathroom. So all of that has to be fixed. But we got really lucky. Schools were canceled, power went out, but ultimately, we were really in a good position. I grew up in LA, fires are nothing new. Being evacuated is nothing new. I was evacuated from my parents' house a few times, from my middle school. In all of the fires that I've been a part of, I've never known a single person to actually lose their home or lose their business. I know people have, but I've never known anyone, and I've been born and raised here. And in this fire, I knew multiple people that lost everything. Just communities being wiped out, that is not normal. Like, that's never happened. And so I think that everybody knew that this was something different. And I think the kids felt it. Like, they felt our need to be hyper vigilant and watch what was going on and watch where it was moving and paying really close attention. And so I think that they were kind of freaked out.
Monica, down into the south, you notice there are no canyons here. This is what's called a coastal plain. Like last night, we were still getting those 40, 50,
no
even 60 mile per hour winds.
As long as the four of us
south, as you can see, how the winds just back off out of the canyons. Strong.
Everything else is replaceable.
And it's moving out of Southern California. We still have a strong.
Poor thing. I know it was overwhelming. We ended up all packing bags that night. We just felt like we've got power, we've got time, it's not rushed. Now is the time to pack so we can do it thoughtfully and calmly and not in a total panic. And it's actually like a really weird mind F packing, because you sort of stand there and you're thinking like, if I can't pack my whole house, like if I can't take it all, do I even need any of this? Like, do I need any of this stuff? It's the home that I love. It's the space that I love. It's not the stuff inside. So it is weird. You sort of like pack a bag like you're going on vacation. So you have some clothes, you pack up the photo albums, the hard drives, anything that's irreplaceable. And then you're just kind of like standing there. It's pretty weird. But we ended up being good throughout the night. And then school was canceled the next day. And I ended up with a bunch of kids at my house because we were doing like play date swaps in order to give each other like childcare and also let the kids be distracted. And so I had about 6 kids at my house, and the kids were playing hide and go seek, and they could not find one of the kids. He had just like disappeared. And so they were coming to get me. And as I'm standing out in the backyard with the kids, I get a evacuation alert on my phone. It comes in like an Amber Alert. So it comes on the top of your phone vibrates, it gives that like siren noise. I've always been really honest with my kids, like age appropriate honesty, but like honest. And so when the evacuation alert came up, they were all standing around me, including my friends' kids. And I just looked at it and was like, okay, we need to evacuate. So we're gonna, we've already packed bags, so that's great. You guys are good. And I looked at the friends, I'm like, I'm gonna call your parents. We're gonna figure out what everybody wants to do. And like, all emotional hell broke loose. Everybody freaked out. I think honestly, everyone kind of fed off each other and just got really panicked. And we still couldn't find Hudson. So then it was like, where is Hudson? And my house is gonna burn down. And like, it just was like, everything went to shit.
This is a precaution. Please don't worry. You're not finding him? Blakey, it's okay. It's okay.
So we were hoping it might get on fire. It's not okay.
It's not gonna catch on fire. It's okay. You guys, it's all okay. I promise. I promise. Let me explain where it is so that we know what's happening, okay? Because I know this is overwhelming. First of all, everything is gonna be fine. Do you know what they do? They give an evacuation warning. Please look at me. Look at me, guys. They give an evacuation warning for a huge area, okay? A huge area. We are not in danger. We are not. This fire is far. It's in West Hills. This is out where you play football. That's where it is right now. Yes.
Yeah, well,
it's out there.
I'm just worrying about Hudson. I'm worried
We'll find
about
him.
this and Hudson.
I know. We're going to find him because he's being silly and we'll find him. But this is us getting ready, a precaution. They want everyone to be overly safe.
How do we know
just in
that
case.
our house isn't going to burn down?
We don't know, but we're going to believe because we're far enough away from it.
But you said we're going to come back.
In London, the thing is, when in our neighborhood, they're gonna need to get through like 10 fire stations to get there.
Yes. I've been evacuated from my parents' house 10 times, and it never caught on fire. I was evacuated from my middle school in the middle of science class. Never caught on fire.
This is a different place. And also that fire was probably in a different place.
Hey, Alejandra.
Hey.
You're on speaker.
Oh. You guys, they just said that it might be a mistake that we got that it was an error.
So we're not actually leaving.
Crazy enough, the whole evacuation was incorrect. We were never supposed to be evacuated. So the kids all stayed and hung out, and then we all met up and went out to dinner. And as we were leaving, we started seeing something that didn't feel great. The fire had started kind of coming over the hill and moving a little bit closer to us. So we kept a really close eye that whole night, watching the news for a while. My husband said he could like barely sleep because he kept checking things throughout the night. But we were okay. There was a lot of arson, which I get so mad when I say that out loud. Like I'm so like ashamed and disgusted that could happen. And so it wasn't so much that they were going to move in our direction, but it was that something new would get set in the middle of the night while we were sleeping and suddenly we would have to go. So we had our bags continuously packed the entire time. And the next day, things really got under control. There was definitely like a change in the momentum and a change in the tone from the news, and it was feeling a little bit more under control and optimistic. And at that point, I think we were really in a place of like feeling super grateful that we were as lucky as we were, that our community, was virtually unaffected. And we just wanted to try to do something. So I didn't really know what to do. None of us did. But one thing that I felt like I personally could really help with was getting clothing to people that needed it. There were so many lists going around of families that lost everything, what their ages were, what the genders were. They needed clothes. They didn't even have time to leave. People left their cars abandoned and went running. So I went through all of the clothing that I've saved for my DIYs, brand new things with tags on them, things I barely wore, things I saved because they were great, and I put them in individual bags. So I divided up all of my sweatshirts, my t-shirts, my jackets, my jeans, divided them by size, then by gender or by age, so that hopefully they would be very easy to disseminate. We loaded up my car, me and the kids, and we went to my friend Donna's event. She did this super last minute fundraiser and within days had raised thousands and thousands of dollars. There was an insane amount of clothes and brand new toiletries and dog food and necessities and all sorts of things that people needed. And this sense of community, this is the Los Angeles that I love. I think there's so many people who think of Los Angeles as like Hollywood, as like this tiny little bubble. But what we consider LA is enormous. I mean, it spans so much of Southern California. And all of us consider ourselves Angelinos. And I just think it is so beautiful when the city gets to show you its best. And we started seeing that just day after day after day.